Good afternoon. Welcome to the Bloomington Rotary Club's weekly celebration of service. I'm Steve Wicks, and I'm honored to serve as your president this year. Please silence your electronic devices. On this day in history, March 24th, 1989, the Exxon tanker Valdez struck a reef and spilled approximately 11 million gallons of crude oil in Alaska's Prince William Sound. David Wright will deliver today's reflection.
Well, it's May 10th, 1940, and a young couple are in their backyard in Antwerp, Belgium, burying a small marionette in their backyard. His name is Isidore Osnowitz, and her name is Frances, and they have made a deal with each other that if the bombs start to drop, they are going to flee the country. You see, the Nazis have just invaded Belgium. And his grandmother has told him that he needs to bury that puppet because that is a puppet of Adolf Hitler. You see, he's been doing political satire about the Nazis and doing anti-fascist performance theater. And the Nazis take notes of these kind of things before they invade. So they take their bikes and they flee the country. Problem is, they have to flee through France. And the Nazis are invading France, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands all on the same day. So now they have to flee France. And they make their way through France over a few weeks and find themselves in northern Morocco. If you've ever seen the movie Casablanca, that's about that evacuation route. And there, they end up in an internment camp. Because Vichy France has fallen, and now the Nazis are present there too. With some help, they manage to escape. And they make it to Lisbon, Portugal. Their hope is to come to America to escape the problems of Europe. But at that time, immigration is clamping down in the US. I know it's hard to believe in our modern times, but at that time, there was a movement called America First. And it was out for America itself, anti-immigration. And they were shutting down the avenues for the war refugees coming. So he gets in on a boat and goes to England. If he agrees to fight for the Allies, they'll let him and his family come. Eventually, the war is won, and he tries again to come to the US. He goes to the immigration office every day for several weeks. He said his goal was to pester them until they finally agreed. He had to find a job, which he did. He found a job in Montana doing storefront designs with his artistic abilities. And he brought his family over in 1950. He had to put them on a train because he only had enough money for his wife and his son. So he hitchhiked his way to it. And basically, they were refugees looking for a place to escape the threats of Europe and the hardships there. And they found that home in America. His son would go on to grow up and become part of the Muppets, Frank Oz. So the next time you see the Muppets and see Miss Piggy, or you watch Star Wars and you see Yoda, know that that was Frank Oz, a son of a refugee from Europe that became an American and was able to become a fun little immigrant story for our nation.
Thank you, David. Sam Udek will introduce our guests today.
Hey, we have a few guests in person today. We have Danya Jabouri, a guest of art, Shane Gibson, guest of Jim Bright, Nick Kappas, a guest of David Meyer, and Ann Edmonds, a guest of Judy Schroeder. And do we have any guests online?
We have Marianne Pellick from 100 Women Who Care.
Welcome, everybody.
If any of you would like to learn more about Rotary, turn to the person next to you or across the table and ask away. A couple of birthdays to observe this week. On the 29th, Liz Irwin, and then on the 30th, Carol Ann Hustler. 2 anniversaries to observe. On the 27th, Mr. Rotary, Jim Bright, 19 years. And on the 28th, future club president, Hank Walter, 9 years in Rotary. Announcements. So we're doing something different this week. If people like it, we'll continue. But subsequent to last week's discussion, anyway, the announcements were flashing across the screen for about 15 or 20 minutes before the meeting. But I'll go through them quickly. Rotary District Conference, May 8th and 9th, Golf House in Louisville. Lots of fun things to do Friday evening. And then on Saturday, lots of informative sessions. Chambers Business After Hours tomorrow, 5:30 to 7:30 at One World Catering. See me if you'd like to learn more. Tree planting, April 18th, Lake Monroe, subject to the water being down. We'll have more details in the weeks ahead. On April 14th, which is a Tuesday, that's one of the days where we're kicked out of the union as per our agreement with the IMU. And our gathering that day will be joining the Heading Home of South Central Indiana at their Regional Housing Summit. We'll have more details soon, but at this point, just remember that unlike one of our regular meetings when you show up, this will be one that will need to have a head count probably a week in advance so we can make sure that we have the right number of meals for all the Rotarians. Need a Zoom host and someone to deliver a reflection for next week. See me if you have an interest. The deadline for this year's district grant is on the 27th, so it's coming up. If you have any interest in applying for what hopefully will be a $6,000 grant, see Sarah Laughlin, who's back at that table, or Diana Hoffman over there can help you. But please get your application in. Next Rotary Book Club meeting on the 22nd of April, home of Judy Schroeder. The book is Audrey McCluskey's Girl Child. We heard from Audrey McCluskey a few weeks ago, did a really good job. So see Judy Schroeder or Sally Gaskell if you have questions. My Sister's Closet, organizational member. They have hosting an evening with Maya Angelou, a dinner theater, April 10th and 11th, and they planned a really elegant event at the Bloomington Country Club. Proceeds will benefit the Bloomington Symphony Orchestra and the My Sister's Closet Relocation Fund. For more information, see club members Sandy Keller and Marcy Hibbard. They're both here today. Wave your hands, Sandy, and there they are, kind of in the tables in the back. Or you can go to My Sister's Closet website and find out more. Finally, we heard from organizational member HealthNet a few weeks ago. And anyway, they're in the middle of an advocacy campaign. They'd like you to check it out. And if you have an interest, file something online to provide support. So you want to go to indiehealthnet.org, search for 340B advocacy. And Tyler, I think we're ready for the PowerPoint. So we did this particular membership quiz a couple of months ago, but we have so many Rotarians who exercise at the Southeast YMCA. Some of them probably think they're exercising and anonymously, but unfortunately, I've seen them. So 5 Rotarians, and 4 of them exercise at the Bloomington Southeast YMCA. One of the individuals does not. And here are the 5 individuals. Upper left, we have John Diltz. Upper center, Jim Bright. Upper right, Lauren Snyder. Bottom left, Mark Peterson. Bottom right, Art Omick. So when I ask the question, put up your hands online, put up your hands electronically. Put up your hand if you think that John Diltz is one of 5 in this list who does not exercise at the Bloomington Southeast YMCA. Uh-oh. We have quite a few, including John. How about past district governor, past club president, Mr. Rotary Jim Bright? Does he even have time to exercise at the Southeast YMCA? Put up your hand if you think Jim is the one. Oh, I see a couple of votes in the room. I can't tell what we have online. Third choice is Lauren Snyder, past club president. Put up your hand if you think Lauren is the one. Well, we have quite a few for Lauren as well. All right, our club secretary, Mark Peterson, who's sitting over there. Put your hand up, Mark. Put up your hand if you think Mark is the one who does not exercise at the Southeast YMCA. Mark, you're not getting, oh, okay. Forrest kind of gave you a half-hearted vote. Yeah, it might have been a sympathy vote. Okay. And the last one, Art Omick. Put up your hand if you think Art does not. Okay, Art, you're generating a few votes. Oh, and John Diltz voted the second time.
So online.Lauren had the largest amount of votes.
Okay, so Lauren, thank you, Leslie. Lauren's doing really well online. Okay, well, if you voted for John Diltz, you would be incorrect because I've seen John participating in YMCA classes, sometimes in the same class with Rex Hillary. So, John, good dodge there. You confused others. They'll admire you, but they'll never trust you again. Jim Bright, Mr. Rotary, Jim walks. I've seen him riding the stationary bicycle. When he's feeling well, he is a regular at the YMCA. Mark Peterson, if you voted for Mark, which one of you did, you would be incorrect. Mark just recently had hip surgery, but he is a regular on the stationary bicycle, and I think he'll be back at it soon. Art Omick, just a few people voted for Art. Art is a regular swimmer in the YMCA pool. And if you look at this picture, this is Art on a sailboat. If he ever falls off, those swimming will come in handy. And then finally, most of you voted for Lauren Snyder, and you are correct, because Lauren works both in Bloomington and the Franklin offices of Baird Wealth Management. He actually lives in Indianapolis, but he golfs. And if you've ever seen Lauren in person, no surprise, he is an avid runner. So Lauren's in good shape, doesn't exercise at the Y, but he does a lot. So anyway, you did really well. John, you probably had about 10 people. You swayed their votes. So anyway, good job. Show this slide all the time. Rotary's 7 areas of focus. And a reminder that March is Water, Sanitation, and Hygiene Month. We've seen a couple of videos so far this month on Rotary water projects around the world. And we have probably 5 minutes for Happy Dollars. Is anyone happy today?
There's always a reason to be happy. I just got to see the Chicago Cubs play in Arizona. It was a little bit hot, but we survived and I didn't get a sunburn. Yay.
Yeah. I'm happy because my son and granddaughter visited me from Texas for the last week, and we just had a great time.
I'm happy because my daughter, who is pregnant, is expecting soon, and 3 weeks earlier than I thought. But I'm 13 pieces into my 24-piece quilt, so I'm doing well.
I'm happy because my daughter and I had a wonderful vacation to Marathon, Florida recently, and she managed to get me everywhere I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there, so we didn't miss any flights. So if I could have just one more moment, though, I'd appreciate if this $5 could be used to provide some remedial training to John Diltz with regard to the four-way test. Yes, I was one of them who trusted to raise my hand.
Thank you.
I just recently learned that a second cousin is here as a head oboe teacher in the School of Music. And I haven't seen her father in probably 60 years. And I'm sure he will be delighted when I tell all of you that I was one of the babysitters that diapered him.
And I have some happy dollars because we got to see Patrick's family over the weekend, and we don't see them as much as we used to. So that was fun.
Do we have any online?
We do not.
Okay, I have some happy dollars for a couple of things. One, oh,
Sally, you got one?
Oh, hello. Thank you. I am happy because I survived my first ever MRI this morning for my icky wrist, which is sprained. $5. $5 for happy dollars.
Sorry, Mr. Sally.
and then I have some happy dollars, a couple of reasons. One, my son-in-law, Justin Bailey, who lives in town, his book is on sale and he's actually selling some. If you get a chance to go to Morgan Stearns, look for a book by local author Justin S. Bailey. And then my brother, who is a Vietnam veteran, he was managing partner of his law firm, retired, has become a very good photographer. And his exhibition, Coming Home from Vietnam, is starting in Maxwell Hall the evening of Friday, April 3rd. There'll be a kickoff event. There's something else the following week. But anyway, if you get a chance, get to Maxwell Hall, and you can see photos and interviews of Vietnam veterans and specifically their experiences upon coming home after the war, how they were treated, what they ran into. Anyway, thank you for all the happy dollars. Had a good response. Dave Meyer will introduce our speakers today. And just so you know, the format today will be a little bit different. So just kind of go with the flow. I think it's going to be a really good presentation.
Thank you, President Steve. I am delighted to be a little part of what is an opportunity to shine a little bit of light on two volunteer organizations here in the community that are engaged in very important private philanthropy. One is 100 Women That Care, and the other is 50 Men That Care. So I have two people to introduce today. Kathy Romy is the two-time convener, which is the organizer, annual organizer of 100 Women. She's also now on the steering committee. She's the former Meals on Wheels director. She was also previously the general manager of Bloomington Pops Orchestra. She won an award in 2016, the Excel Woman Award from the Chamber of Commerce. And she is a DJ at WFHB Community Radio, hosting Golden Age Radio each week. And she enjoys music, performing music, reading and writing, and loves to root for the underdog. Ken Buzzard, who I work with closely on 50 Men because I'm on the steering committee this year of 50 Men. He is the convener, that is the Grand Master Organizer of 50 Men this year. He is a retired Navy engineer who most recently worked at Crane. He is the former president of the Bloomington Symphony Orchestra and has been served as an adjunct professor of aviation management at Ivy Tech. So give it up for our two conveners, or one former.
So I'm microphoned. I'm talking to see if we can, okay, we can hear, cool. So, hello everyone, I'm Ken Buzzard. And before I start my presentation, our organizations are kind of similar functionally to how Rotary works for your meetings. You invite people like me to come up here and talk you give us 25, 30 minutes, and that's cool. We meet quarterly and we invite guests to come up to talk to us, but we only give them 7 minutes, okay? And we have multiple presenters and the presentations are competitive. So I'm going to explain how all that works. I'm going to limit myself to 7 minutes, followed by 3 minutes of Q&A. Then Kathy's going to come up and do the same thing, 7 minutes of presentation, 3 minutes of Q&A. And then I will join her at the end, whatever time we have remaining. If there's something I wanted to say that I ran out of time, I'm going to throw it at you at the end. Kathy will do the same. And if there's any follow-up questions at the end, we'll have time for that as well. Here in front, Emily is from the Community Foundation, and she is our timer. She holds up green, yellow, and red cards. Green means go. Yellow means I have 1 minute left. And red means finish that sentence, Ken, say thank you, and ask for questions. Okay, so are you ready to start the clock? Off we go. Okay, I'm Ken Buzzard. I am the convener of 50 Men Who Care. Somewhere around here is a slide. I'm going to advance it for a second just to see if it works, and then I'm going to go back. Okay. I'm the convener of 50 Men Who Care. Together with 100 Women Who Care, our sister organization, we are a pair of philanthropic giving circles, which I'll explain how that works in a bit. We convene once a quarter to raise money for worthy nonprofits that serve the community in Monroe County. Okay, so I'm going to talk about first how it works before I talk about who we are and who we support. So the coolest thing about our meetings is that when our meetings begin, we have no idea who we're raising money for, okay? We have a social hour. For the men, it's 30 minutes because we're able to be twice as social in the shorter amount of time. The women have a full hour, okay? And we also meet at a brewery where the women meet at the country club, so it's a lot easier to be social, okay? During the social hour, any gentleman there who wants to nominate a nonprofit to request that we consider supporting them with our financial support, will throw his name and the name of his nonprofit on a slip of paper into the hat. After the social hour is done and we begin the business meeting, we draw 3 names out. The first gentleman, and the women work the same way, so when I talk about gentlemen, if you're a lady, the same thing, the ladies do the same thing because we're actually patterned after them. The first gentleman will speak for 7 minutes about his nonprofit. He'll tell us things about who they are, were they founded locally, are they a regional group, a national group that serves locally? They'll talk about the population that they serve, the individuals, the needs that they're addressing. They'll talk about their size. They'll talk about their financial health. They'll talk whatever information that the presenter wants to share with us to give us what we need to know whether or not this is a group that we want to support financially. Okay. After his 7 minutes, and he gets the red card, he'll shut up and he'll have 3 minutes to take questions from the crowd. Anything he may have forgotten to ask, the crowd will be certain to follow up. Then he sits his butt down. Gentleman number 2 comes up, does the same thing. After 10 minutes, gentleman number 3 presents, and 30 minutes after we've begun, we're done. Now it's time for the group to decide who are we going to support tonight. Okay, and it's done democratically. There's no campaigning, there's no deal making, there's no talking, it's not like it's silent or anything, but every gentleman gets a voting slip. His name is not on the slip, and on that slip, he writes a 1, a 2, or a 3. I sound like Lawrence Welk. A 1, a 2, or a 3, okay? And he'll put that in the hat. We will collect the votes and count them up. Whichever nonprofit received the most support from our members is our winner that evening, okay? And then at that point, every gentleman will pull out his checkbook. I'm dating myself. We don't actually use checkbooks anymore, but he'll pull out his checkbook and he'll write a check for that nonprofit. Now, the ladies write checks for $100 and they have 100 members. So that's $10,000 of support to a nonprofit. Their numbers, their membership numbers go up and down. Sometimes they have as many as 200, sometimes as few as 80. But typically $10,000 to $20,000 from the women's group. The men, we write checks for 125 because we have fewer numbers, fewer physical men in the room. So we have to dig a little bit deeper. And our donations are generally in the scale of 65 to 75 or up to $10,000, okay? The ladies got started back in the fall of 2011. That was 15 years ago, and they have met every quarter for 15 years. The men started 26 months later in the spring of 2014. So they had a 2-year head start on us, and they had twice as many people. And okay, am I doing? Okay. They persevered through the pandemic where the men did not. And then our founder passed away right after the pandemic, and our group kind of went silent for a few years. But Dave and I and Nick and a few other members that were in the old steering committee got together last year and said, we need to bring this group back because we can't let the ladies have all the glory, okay? So we had our kickoff meeting in January. So the ladies have been doing this for 15 years straight through and have twice our numbers. We've only met half as many times and have half the numbers. So they've generated 4 times as much money than we have, which makes a lot of sense. But between our two groups, we have been responsible for $1.2 million in support. Well, in support for groups in Monroe County. If it's a local group, they get all the money. If it's a regional or national group, I've got 2 minutes left. Regional or national group, we stipulate that the support needs to stay in the county, and it does. Now, the women, bless them, had been eligible for a corporate match that expired in December of last year from the Schultz Family Foundation. Schultz family owns Best Buy. To be eligible for that grant, you have to meet quarterly. You have to be registered with the 100 Who Care Alliance, which both of our groups are. That's a national clearinghouse of about 700 or 800 similar 100 blanks Who Care groups spread out nationally and internationally. You have to be a women's group, which disqualified us. We tried identifying as a women's group, but they saw through our charade. And you have to raise at least $5,000 at that meeting. If you do, they kick in $5,000. They did this for 7 years. The women qualified for that support every single quarter for all 7 years, raising an additional $140,000 for local nonprofits, bringing our total up to $1.23 million. But of that money, $1.09 million of that was all from local members in the form of checks for $100, or in our case, $125. In 15 years, that's roughly 10,000 individual tiny donations from folks in the community supporting the community. Okay. Now, right here, I'm talking to Rotary right now, but I'm not talking to Rotary because we're not here asking for Rotary support. I'm letting you guys know about these groups because I'm talking to the Rotarians right now. I'm talking to all the gentlemen in the room. We would love to have you consider joining us in the philanthropic endeavors that we're doing, to join us in this participatory philanthropy. I swear to God, I've been practicing those 2 words for the last week to not stumble across them. Okay. Okay. And my time is up. So that sentence is the last sentence. Are there any questions for me before Kathy comes up? 3 minutes.
My question is, how many nominations are there on average before you draw 3?
It varies. At our kickoff meeting in January, we had 7. We've had as many as, Nick, 15-ish in the hat at one time. And if a group is nominated and doesn't get pulled, they stay in the hat for the next cycle, unless that person who nominated them wants to pull them out and put somebody else in. So
You guys meet 4 times a year?
we meet 4 times a year. Our next meeting is in, when is our next meeting? It's April 23rd over at Heartwork Brewing. And the ladies meet 2 weeks later at the Country Club. I'll let the guy with the microphone figure out who's talking next.
I love your timing system. Does it really work? Do you
Yes.
have dominators that don't?
Yes. And in fact, when I speak, I take every one of the 7 minutes they give me because I love public speaking. But the one thing about our group is that public speaking is a terrifying thing for almost everybody. Okay. And even if somebody has a nonprofit that they want to nominate that doesn't seem to be worthy of support, the fact that one person is standing in front of a bunch of strangers and asking them to give them their money endorses the group that they're presenting for. So that alone, I mean, it doesn't matter what the group is. If you're standing in front of strangers asking for money, that says a lot about the individual or the group that you're supporting.
So I know how it works with 100 Women Who Care. Does 150 Men Who Care, do you have to be a member, or can you nominate somebody else to do your presentation for you? And on a side note, you guys give $125 and we give $100. Does that mean you care a little bit more?
Well, to the second question, it's not that we care more because we're guys. We're not touchy-feely like the ladies are. Okay, it's that we understand from a math perspective that we don't have your numbers. And for us to be able to have an impact and to be able to attract other members, we need to have an impact. We want I got dragged in because I was at the time on the board of the Bloomington Symphony. And in the ladies group had given them a gift a while back to help our children's instrument recovery program. Our executive director, Donna Lafferty, said, "Hey, Ken, why don't you join 50 Men and see if you can get some of their money too?" So by having a $125 donation, it's basically to try to encourage more nonprofits to send their guys in to try to fight for the money. So, and as to the first question, I forget what it was. Oh yeah, no, you have to be a member. For a kickoff meeting, we kind of wait. If you promise to join before the night is over, we'll let you speak, but you have to have skin in the game from our perspective. So. And I think I'm out of time. Save your question. Save your question. I talk too much. Save your question for Kathy. I'm going to hand it over. Kathy's got 7 minutes. So that advances that.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for this opportunity to come and speak to you today. Ken did a wonderful job at telling you what we do and how we do it. But I want to talk to you about the impact that this money has had on our community, because it's amazing. So you can see, or you saw from Ken's slide, that we raised $1.2 million for local nonprofits here in Monroe County between the two groups. 100+ Women alone raised $890,500. Since 2011, and that's just individual members' contributions, those $100 checks that we write. And then you add the Schultz grant on top of that, which was $140,000 over the last 11 or so years. And that brings us to a total of $1,022,000 that 100+ Women alone has raised since 2011. You know, there's an old saying that says, if you want something done, ask a busy person. You know that saying? I will add to that, ask a busy woman, because it's really true. So I want to tell you some of the highlights, all right, of how these quarterly awards have changed people's lives and what they've done in the community. Back in 2023, Bloomington Meals on Wheels was a recipient of award from 100 Plus Women, and they used their award to support 6 months of their operations of their brand new program, which is called the Mobile Pantry Groceries to Go. That money that they won, they were able to serve 200 families during that 6 months and deliver over 1,700 meals to those 200 families. One of the recipients said he would have to take 2 buses each way to get to another pantry to get the food that he needed. He had emphysema. It made it extremely difficult for him to do so. Now the food is brought to him. He now has the energy to prepare his own meal. Another individual said he was so grateful that drivers bring the food right inside his door in his apartment complex because he has such a hard time breathing that it's hard for him to walk. So he always calls our office afterwards every single time, and he thanks us, which is really lovely. In 2023, in addition, Ivy Tech Community College has a program called the Student Emergency Assistance Fund. Basically, it's set up for short-term crises for these students that are studying. Things come up, they can't make their rent, they get sick, whatever, and they want to be able to continue their schooling. We did award some money to them that quarter. And in particular, I was shared an impact about a young woman who was a student there. She had 2 children already. She was ready to give birth to the 3rd. She was balancing work and kids and school, right? She finds out that her job does not offer paid leave. She wasn't eligible for short-term disability. So Ivy Tech came in with their short-term assistance fund and helped her. Otherwise, she would have had to go back to work 3 to 5 days after giving birth. Not a great thing. I would also like to point out that 92% of all Ivy Tech graduates stay right here in Indiana to live and to work. So that money helping those individual students, it extends far beyond just that individual. And last but not least, in 2022, Teachers Warehouse was awarded money from 100 Plus Women. 3 of your Rotarians came and made a presentation to 100 Plus Women, Peggy Frisbee, Nancy Richmond, and Sarah Laughlin. And they were awarded the money that quarter. $20,000 jump-started their fundraising, which was fabulous because they got additional grants from the Community Foundation that year and also the Smithville Foundation. And that allowed them to purchase warehouse shelving and professional grade dollies and display bins to get everything up and running. And now they have at least 1,200 shoppers a year, and I believe that's growing. And their endowment, because of that initial fundraising, has grown. And they're now confident that they can pay their rent every month and keep their shelves well stocked while helping our educators here in Monroe County. So they do a great job. And we're told that that was a life-changing event for Teachers Warehouse. So in addition to those quarterly awards we make, we also have an endowment at the Community Foundation. So once a year, we all write another $100 check that goes into that endowment. And that endowment balance is now $457,000. And it is what they call an unrestricted endowment, so it can be used for anything. And I just want to mention a couple things while I have time that some of those unrestricted funds have done. So in addition to our quarterly awards, we're also reaching out through the Community Foundation to help others. There was grant support for the Community Kitchen Express rebuild project, the one out in Crestmont. They did a rebuild, much safer space, more functional. Also, we had 9 months ago, the Community Foundation awarded a $100,000 grant to support the new Beacon Center. And my favorite was the one last year where there was something called the Strengthening Monroe County Nonprofits. You may have read about it, a matching initiative. Oh, shoot, I had one more thing to say. Okay. Thank you. Questions? Yes.
What was the last thing you were going to say?
The last thing I was going to say was a quote from Margaret Mead. Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. That's true.
I hadn't realized that an organization could receive the quarterly money more than once. Is there a period of time where they can be
Yes.
nominated?
Yes. So I believe this is correct. You can be nominated 3 times, and you have to wait for 2 years in between those. 3 years in between that. We've changed that a couple of times. 3 years in between that. Men are 2, women are 3. Yeah. Yeah.
Any questions online?
Not yet.
Run, Michael, run. I am. I don't need a microphone, but okay, since I got it here.
Sure.
Does the organization have to, can it be for animals?
As long as you are a nonprofit 501c3 here in Monroe County, yes, we've had PALS has won an award. Monroe County Humane Association has received.
Good to know.
Sure, absolutely.
Can you talk a little more about your nomination process, specifically having presenters come up?
Oh, okay. So we're a little bit different than what the men do. We do ask people to put their nominations in a basket. We draw out 3 names of agencies to make their presentations. You do have to be a member to make a nomination, but you don't have to be a member to make the presentation. So in other words, I could ask the executive director of my agency that I want nominated to come and speak if they are chosen from the basket. We have a lot of people that are afraid to speak in public, and this helps open up more nominations and more nonprofits for consideration.
Yes, I just wondered if you have contributed in the past to My Sister's Closet.
Yes, we have. They've won 2, or where's Sandy? 3 times? 4 times? 4 times.
10 seconds.
Don't make it.
Thank you. I just want to confirm if, as a speaker, if I get selected to be a presenter, do I have to, well, not me, but does the presenter have to be a woman, or?
No, absolutely.
The presenter can be anybody,
Yeah.
any gender. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of minutes left over, and there are a couple of questions, but there's a couple of small things that I because I was so rambunctious and didn't cover all the points. Both of our organizations are partnered with the Community Foundation. We both have endowments at the foundation. They support us. There's business cards on all of the tables with our contact information, our schedules, and our dates that they printed up for us. Both of our endowments collectively are over $500,000. The gentlemen also write tiny little $100 checks once a year, and we've only done it for 7 years because half as much time. But at our last meeting in January, at a kickoff meeting, we actually said, hey, we only need 3 or 4 more of you guys to donate to get over the $100,000 point. And immediately, I think Jim might have been the one that pushed over the top. So we have a 6-figure endowment. It is a small 6-figure endowment, but that helps support the Community Foundation to support us and to support you and to support the community. Half of the endowment is reinvested in the endowment. The other half supports them and allows them to continue to do the work in the community with the rest of the endowment to support the community. So it's sort of like that snake that eats its own tail, but it's all money, you know. So that's all cool. And if we have any time left over, I'm not going to put Emily on the spot. If we have any time left over at the very end, I'll be happy to let her speak more to that. But I know there was at least one question left over for me. Go for it. Yeah.
Yes, I was a member of 50 Men Who Care before the pandemic.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things that our organization started shortly before the pandemic was in an effort to get younger people involved. We had a lower threshold, so people under the age of 40, I think it was, could do $75 per meeting. Is that still going on?
Thank you. I completely spaced. I was going to mention that. We offer junior memberships. They get the same voting privileges, the same all that for it's roughly half. It's $75 per quarter and a $50 donation to the endowment as opposed to $100. So for the year, it's $375. For the gentlemen, for the full year, it's $600. I think for the ladies, it's
Yes, 100 Plus Women does the same. If you're 40 or under, it's $50 for the annual contribution and $50 per quarter toward the agency. So a total of $250 for the year as opposed to $500.
You get a half a vote or a full vote?
Yeah, full vote. Full privileges. We're just
privileges.
We're just trying to encourage philanthropy at a younger age and trying to
Yeah.
help those that have shallower pockets
Correct.
to be able to play ball with us.
Correct.
So
That was actually my question.
Yay.
We have two questions online.
Go ahead.
Leslie, you can go first.
My question was similar on what do you do to actively recruit new members to both organizations?
Well, Leslie, that's a great question. And that is something that one of the things we do are things like this. Then come and talk to you and tell you about who we are and what we do. And I will say that the reason that I'm a member of 100 Plus Women and the reason I joined specifically was because I like the fact that the money stays local.
Yes.
That's what I like about it. I'm going to give anyway. I'm going to give charitably anyway. And one of the things I like to do is keep that charity close to home and see my community flourish. So that was attractive to me. So that's one of the things we go out and we talk to groups like yourself. We encourage our members to bring friends, just like you do here at Rotary. Bring a friend and attend and see what we're all about. I can't say that we've really done anything by mail or anything like that. If you have any ideas, Leslie, please let me know.
Peggy, you had a question on one?
Yep, Peggy.
Yeah, if I'm permitted, I have both a question for Kathy to answer, but also a comment. I'm also pretty heavily involved with 100 Plus Women Who Care and have been actually since the beginning. And Kathy, following up on what you just said about what attracted you, one thing that I've really found so good from being involved is how much I learn about the different charities. Even though we may read articles or news reports or be involved with a few, you saw the chart up there of all the charities that have been supported, which I'm not even sure that's everyone. But at any rate, even with 7 minutes and 3 minutes of questions, we really, really learn about the needs of the community. And then my question, Kathy, for you is maybe you could talk a moment about sort of the unique structure and that we're not even incorporated or anything.
Well, that's true. We are not a nonprofit ourselves. And we are, as Ken said, we're a giving circle. We're a group of women who are out there to help other nonprofits, but we are not a nonprofit ourselves. We don't have a board of directors. Anything like that. We are truly just a circle of women who care. That's truly what we are. There's no president. Somebody gets to take over the kind of the organization for a year, and we pass that around. Yeah, I don't know. What else can I say?
Well, I'll say two things. One is our donation checks go to the agencies. Okay.
Right.
They do not go through, the Community Foundation is our sort of backup supporter and sponsor. You could think of it as definitely the sponsor. But when we donate to the agencies, it goes directly to the agencies. And yeah, we do have a bit of a restriction. That doesn't mean you get on a solicitation list. So it goes straight there. So the $100 a quarter goes straight to the agencies. And so it's not an incorporated nonprofit.
They don't write a check to 100 Plus Women. They write a check to the agency, and the Community Foundation helps us funnel that money to the agency. It helps us do some of that bookkeeping. Yeah.
If I can piggyback on that, the men do it slightly differently, but for different reasons. When we reformed at the first of this year, there were some lessons learned from the past. One of the things was solicitation. When we were writing individual checks to a nonprofit, sometimes even though we asked them not to solicit, we would end up on their mailing list individually. And we kind of frowned upon that. We also, there was a second really good reason why we changed. Oh yeah, collecting was a whole lot more difficult, particularly as we went into the pandemic. Nick was our convener at that time, and we would meet. When you join the group, you're committing to support our mission for the year. Whether you come to the meetings, no, we hope you come to all the meetings, but if you don't come to the meeting, that's okay. We'll tell you, oh, this quarter we're supporting Ken Buzzard's European Travel Fund. Okay. And so everybody has to write me a check for $125. Well, some people wouldn't do that, or some people we couldn't get a hold of all that. So this year, how we're doing it differently is we're all writing checks for the full year up front to the Community Foundation, and they're shepherding our money for us. And they write a single check because the burden, if we are sending 100 checks to a tiny little nonprofit that then have to turn around and acknowledge 100 tax deductible receipts with 100 letters, 100 stamped envelopes, and the time and labor and all that, plus the risk of those individuals ending up on their solicitation list, we thought, let's try it differently. Let's just try a different way of doing this. So we send the money to the Community Foundation. The gentlemen who write that check immediately get a tax receipt for the entire year on the spot. And then they join us each quarter to tell us how to take that money and send it back out into the community. Community Foundation sends one check, one great big check to the nonprofit. And if they end up on their solicitation list, God bless them, Okay. And that's okay. But we do it differently for different reasons. There's no right way to do it. Ask us in a couple of years, one of us will say, oh, we really should have done it the way the other group did. And then we'll revisit it and change it. But that's one of the cool things about us. We don't have a board of directors. We're just a club. In our case, we're just a bunch of guys who are getting together once a quarter at a brewery to write a check. We're not there to drink the beer, Yeah. We used to meet at the country club like the ladies did. We couldn't afford it, because we don't have a bank account. We don't have resources. This is all based on individual donations. And the country club changed. I mean, no criticism of the country club, but the target audience that they're aiming for is different than what we are. Okay, they've evolved, they've reinvested, they need to recover that, and that's perfectly fine. We went to a brewery because they're like, we'd love to have all these civic leaders come in and see our facility. They invested in us. They gave us their meeting space for free first quarter. And they're giving, even though we're not registered, they're giving us the nonprofit rate for the rest of the year, for the rest of our life, for the rest of our relationship with them. So I'm not going to pimp for Heartwork Brewing, but if you want to go grab a brewski, actually we have a couple more. Actually, we're until 57. So we got 4 more minutes. So don't ask me any questions because I'll use them all up answering. So hang on a second, Dave.
Just one quick question. So, well, 2 actually. What's the meeting like? Do you just walk in and you start talking, or is there some kind of connectivity, networking? And then the second thing, what do you do between meetings?
Our meeting begins with social hour. We open the doors at 5. You can come in and meet other people and talk, get a glass of wine or whatever, and do some networking. And then our meeting starts at 6, and we do the basket draw, and we're out of there at 7 o'clock. Yeah.
For the
pretty
men,
quick.
for the men, we meet at 5:30. We have a 30-minute because it's the bars right there. They have pizzas and all that, and we network as well. Our meeting starts at 6. We go until 7. For our next meeting, the group that we supported last quarter will be coming in to get the picture taken with the big check and to let us know how they are. Thank you. They'll let us know how they are using the money that we gave them. The men, we need more men, because when we started up and trying to get the word out about other meetings, we're using social media, we're using word of mouth. We don't have an ad campaign. So we were hoping to get half of 50 for our first meeting, and we missed that by a couple of gentlemen. Our personal goal is to hit 50 by the end of the year. I'm hoping we have 40 at our next meeting. The viability of the group depends on the participation of the individuals in the community. Okay, it's all about us. So please consider becoming one of us. One of us.
One of
them, please, or one of them. Yeah. So
You already answered one question. What about, so you both stay in Monroe County, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And you haven't had more than 50 men.
We've had as many as 84, I believe, is when we were at our peak, pre-pandemic. We're at 23 right now.
Okay.
So, but we've only had one meeting. Dave.
Okay, this is really just a not a question, but it is a question that I got from somebody else about 50 men, and that was, why participate in this kind of giving circle? I give money to whatever organization I want to. And I think I'd like to answer that question for that was asked me for the group, which is, well, it's impact. It's the fact that your check that you give is multiplied by all the other people that are in the room and part of that giving circle. And so, if it's really a good cause that you're giving to, then come to a meeting, participate, and make the case for why everybody should support that group that quarter. And next quarter, try again if it didn't work the last time. So,
Well, you're right about that. It is about impact. And it is about, as I said before, keeping your community thriving. You are directly affecting your neighbors, and all the people that live here in Monroe County and Bloomington with you. And that, to me, is everything, as opposed to writing a check to a large organization that may do good work, but doesn't always have the impact.
12 seconds, Nick.
Can you quickly explain the lessons learned on how to divvy up the quarters for the men?
Right. I can't quickly do that. So I'll explain how we do it. How we do it is we observed that when we have competitive presentations, that groups that are sponsoring children or dogs tended to win more often than not. Okay. And if you had handicapped one-legged dog with an orphan child group, slam dunk. Okay. So what we've decided to do is we're attempting to divide, and the women don't do this. This is just a guy thing. We're attempting to divide the donation space based on mission each quarter. We have a free-for-all fourth quarter. First quarter might be children, second quarter dogs, third quarter everybody that didn't get a quarter. We're still learning as we do this. In fact, because our numbers need to be up, we're not doing that this quarter. So we're going to delay in implementing that until January of next year. But the goal is to give every group a fair shot in their own space without competing against one-legged orphan dogs. Okay, so thank you guys for your time, to give us your time tonight. We got to get out of here. So thank you all.
Kathy and Ken, great job. I understood the Lawrence Welk reference. I still write checks, and I understood the pimp reference. So I'm not sure what that says about me. But what a wonderful presentation. $1.2 million. That is so very impressive. And thank you, both of you, for what you do for Monroe County. In honor of your talk, a donation will be made to this quarter to Amethyst House. I want to thank today's volunteers, Hao-Shi Wang, Sam Udak, Dave Meyer, Leslie Kutsenko, David Wright, Marilyn Wood, Michael Shermis, Alan Barker, our Zoom and audio producer, Tyler. You were kind of dealing with a couple of gremlins today, so thank you. And Mandy, thank you as well. So our next regular meeting will be on March 31st upstairs in the stateroom. We've not been in the stateroom for a long time. It's very small. I'm not even for sure which door we'll use to enter, but hopefully we'll have that worked out by next week. So Robert Frew and Juan Carlos Arango will speak to us about growing new farmers in new lands. So please join us. So Tyler, if you'd put up the graphic for the four-way test, and if you're able, please stand. Of the things we think, say, or do, first, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, is it fun?